official podcast for ProjectFandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Donald.
And I'm John.
And we are back to discuss the second season of Sweet Tooth. Today we're going to be talking about the first two episodes of season 2, episode 1, In Captivity, and episode 2, Into the Deep Woods. Before we do, we're just going to shoot the shit really quickly, not a lot of stuff, nothing too heavy. This will be the first free podcast going up on the site in a minute. And so I want to use this opportunity to address a few things because there hasn't been anything posted on this feed in like 2 months while I was gone. And we are steadily getting YouTube subscribers. Sorry, my dog just decided to put a leg on the computer. We've been getting a lot of new YouTube subscribers, and I think a lot of it comes from the fact that the free podcasts anyway, are also automatically published on YouTube. And so it's just, this is really the only opportunity I get to address that audience, because I don't really do much over there. Once the podcast is posted, I go and make sure all of the correct information is there, the metadata is correct, and then I turn off the comments, because the comment section in YouTube is hell, and I don't need that. But that's it. So I don't spend a lot of time over there. I don't know, why people have necessarily subscribed. Hopefully it's because they like the content, but it's just a reminder that just serves as a way for us to get new listeners, for people to be able to listen with subtitles if they need it. But yeah, we don't spend a whole lot of time over there. So you may not know that the reason the channel has been so super quiet is because at the end of April, actually beginning of May, the first week in May, I went to South Korea. It was supposed to be just a 3-week vacation, but 4 or 5 days into my trip, I fell and broke a bone in my foot. I spent approximately a week. No, I'm sorry. That is an absolute lie. I spent approximately a day or two not knowing that it was broken. And then I spent another week knowing that it was broken, but not knowing really what I had to do about it. And when I went for a follow-up visit and then ultimately a second opinion, and that time, yet another week had gone by. So basically it was like my whole vacation time was spent breaking my foot, figuring out figuring out that my foot was broken, and figuring out like what needed to be done about it. And so 2 days, I think, before I was supposed to originally fly home, I actually had surgery in Korea to correct the break in my foot. I broke the 5th metatarsal in my left foot, and I pretty badly bruised my both knees and my left leg, the shin, I guess, between my knee and my ankle, that whole area. So I had surgery, and then to recuperate, and I'm still recuperating, I'm back home from that, was like another few weeks. So I was in Korea total for 2 months, and the majority of that was spent dealing with a broken foot. I had exactly 4 days of vacation in Korea, and then it just became what it was. So still had a really good time though, and one day I will talk about that in full. So that's where we've been. We were recording some podcasts while I was gone, but a lot of that was premium stuff. And I did a lot of Facebook Live videos. And some of our listeners are my friends on Facebook, but most aren't. So again, I know that this channel, there wasn't a lot of information coming out on this channel about what was going on, and where we were and what we were covering and if we were coming back. So that's the deal. I am back in America now, unfortunately, and we're picking up this series, as well as if you are a premium subscriber, you know that we have been getting caught up steadily on the shows that we had planned to cover and were covering before I left, as well as adding a lot of new content, especially in the month of August, to the lineup. And some of that stuff is free, but most of it is premium. So this is the first free show. Since I've been back, Sweet Tooth is a free show. That means that it will be published on Patreon first, and then a few days later, it'll be published on the free channels. And then we are still posting the first episode of any of our premium content. So in a couple of days, I will be posting some of the first podcasts of some of the premium stuff that we've been covering. We're doing Black Mirror season 6. Is it 6?
I don't know.
Yes, it's 6. Black Mirror season 6, Secret Invasion, which ends next week. We're doing Silo over on Apple TV. We're doing the second season of Foundation in a few weeks. We're going to be doing Ahsoka, as well as the second season of Invasion. There's a new K-drama that we started called Taxi Driver. We're continuing Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in terms of anime, as well as picking up the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen. And we just started the second season of Bungo Stray Dogs. So there is a lot of premium content over on Patreon. That really didn't slow down too much. Like I said, we were still working while I was over there. Not as steadily as we would have if I was home in the same time zone and everything, but there was still a lot of content going up, and there's still a lot of content to come. As a matter of fact, I went over the schedule last night, you guys, and I actually added some stuff for, I want to say September, excuse me, as I put my glasses on, like a little old lady. Yeah, August is absolutely slammed. It's packed. But as I look at September, I'm actually excited about what's coming. And I want to invite John to cover one of these shows. So now, of course, I'm like, what did I add? I can't see it. Okay, so One Piece, the live action One Piece on Netflix, starts in the last week in August, I believe. And Kaylee let me know in no uncertain terms, even if it sucks, we're covering it. She is like, we are covering, and she very rarely puts in any kind of request for the podcast. But she was like, if we're doing this, we're doing this. So we're covering One Piece. The first trailer for it dropped a few weeks ago, I believe, right? What is that noise? Do you hear that? It sounds like water or...
Probably the rain outside.
Really? Is it that bad? Okay, sorry guys. I didn't realize it was raining that hard. Anyway, the first trailer dropped a few weeks ago. It will be premiering on Netflix. I want to say August 30th or August 31st. Don't hold me to it. I just have the first podcast going up September 4th, after that weekend. The Changeling. I'm so excited for this. The Changeling is another Apple TV, right?
Yeah. And I forgot a lot of the book, so I'm really excited.
I have it. I'm so excited. So The Changeling is Apple TV original series based off a novel by the same name by Victor Laval. And back when we were doing reviews on the site pretty steadily, written reviews, one of the things that I was doing personally was trying to feature a lot of comic books written by people of color, particularly Black folks, and highlighting those on the site, as well as the other stuff that we were covering, titles like Miss Marvel, and some of the big like crossover events and things like that. And I discovered this, I want to say 6-issue series called Destroyer, written by Victor Laval. I believe it was Boom Studios. Does that sound right? That's a publisher, right?
That is a publisher, yeah.
Okay. And it was about this Black woman. She's a scientist whose son is killed in a police shooting, her young son. And she basically remakes him, brings him back to life, like kind of like a Frankenstein story. And it is
like Inspector Gadget. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes, but it is absolutely heavily draws on Frankenstein, and I really enjoyed it, and I love the way it was written. The art was beautiful. I thought it was a really good story, and so I decided to look up other things that Victor Laval had written, and realized that he had written several novels, and one of them had like just come out like that week that I looked him up, and it was The Changeling, and so we actually read the book together with our premium subscribers. We read, I can't remember how we did it, but we broke it up a few chapters at a time. Johnny read it too. So we would read the chapters, and then, listeners read along and sent in feedback, and then we would discuss the chapters. And I want to say we did those maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. And it's a really good book. And the TV show debuts beginning of September, I think like the first week in September. It stars, off the top of my head, the only name that I remember is Lakeith Stanfield. He plays the lead role of the character Apollo, and it's just really good. And I'm so excited that this got made. I hope it lives up to the book. I recommend that you check out Victor LaValle's work. Since then, I've read quite a few of his books, and he's great. He's really good, and I'm hoping the show does this story justice. And finally, in September, what did I add? Why don't I see it? Oh, there's a K-drama called Mask Girl that actually, I don't think this is right. This is, no. This isn't it. I'm sorry. Mask Girl is actually added in August. It drops on my birthday. It's just that one of the episodes would be at the beginning of September. So sorry, my bad. The other show I added was The Other Black Girl. This is also based off a book. I don't remember what it's on. I don't remember if it's Hulu or
Tubi.
Shut up. But it's based off a book that I read last year. I know, like, when we were
It's on Hulu. It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Thank you. When we were in Oregon, and I was just really kind of still going through it, but really going through it back then. And I just got into this thing where I just wanted to read, and I would have people in our group recommend books to me and get them from the library. And this was recommended to me, and I enjoyed it. The end is kind of wild, so I'm so curious to see, again, if they do the story justice, how they do the story, and we're going to cover that. And I'm going to try to hopefully get some Black women, femme co-hosts to come on and talk about the show with me. I know a couple of people have read the book. Off the top of my head, I know Kimberly has read it. I don't know if she'd be interested in coming on and talking about it, but so those are 3 shows that I have added for September: One Piece, The Changeling, and The Other Black Girl, that are going to be over on Patreon, so check that out. And the show that I wanted to know if John was interested in was The Changeling, if he would want to cover that with us. I think he would like it. Of course, you can always go to projectfandom.com and check on the schedule to see when these podcasts will be published. We tend to record a day or two before the day that it actually goes up. In some cases, when we're ahead, usually it might be so much as a week before. But as always, if you're going to follow along, if you want to send in feedback that we'll read on the podcast, send it to feedback@projectfandom.com, and just make sure you put in the subject line the name of the episode show that you are talking about, so that I can read it on the right podcast. That said, does anybody have anything they want to shoot the shit about before we start talking about this? No?
Nope.
We good?
Nope. I got nothing.
So, season 2, episode 1, In Captivity. Sweet Tooth is back. It has been already renewed for a 3rd and final season, which made the decision to definitely cover. There was really no reason not to cover the 2nd season, to be honest. What I'm referring to when I say made it easy to come back and definitely cover this is the fact that it did drop while I was away, and I wasn't supposed to be away. So it was one of those things where did it drop right before I left? I think it dropped right before I left. But either way, it was one of those things. It was affected by my trip. And then the fact that my trip got delayed made me wonder, would people still care? Because I know people in our group have already watched it. But then I felt good because I posted about it yesterday, I think. And somebody was like, oh my God, this totally flew under my radar. I'm so glad you posted. So it's nice that, we're reminding folks that good shows are out there. But yeah, I was really concerned about when we would get to this, and the fact that it was renewed for a third season, it solidified. I was like, okay, I'm definitely gonna get to it because I love the first season. I like the story a lot, and I'm excited that they have an end in mind. It's always nice when you know ahead of time that the writers and the creators have said this is what the show is going to be from here to here, and it's a complete story. So now whether or not it's good or it's satisfying till the end, who knows, but it's always nice to know that they have a complete vision in mind and that we're going to get the full vision, that this isn't something, knock on wood, Netflix, that's going to be suddenly canceled, or they're not going to decide like, oh bless you baby, they're not going to decide like HBO to be like, well, we shot it and filmed it, but it's cheaper to shelve it. You know, I don't know. Fingers crossed. Bless you. Sorry, my dog is sneezing. But yeah, so that made me excited. The fact that I know that it's coming back for a third and final season. And Donnie and I watched the first 2 episodes yesterday.
RDJ is like, Robert Downey Jr. is because this is his show, he's very invested in it.
Okay,
like
listen, you just pulled that out your ass, and I was like, are you high? Like, why are we suddenly first of all, you said RDJ, like, we were supposed to, like, I didn't know what the fuck you were talking about for a second.
Yeah, like my friend Bobby.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you mean this is his show?
He's the producer, he's the executive producer or whatever, but he's the one that got the show, like, greenlit and going and all that stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does a lot of publicity.
Did you know that, John?
For this show too.
Probably in season 1, but I did not remember it. No.
Yeah, before season 2 was coming out, he was putting a lot of stuff in social media on his own wall about it comes back.
So we watched these episodes yesterday. John, you watched them like months ago.
Yeah, I watched them because, like you said, we were going to record like the day that you got hurt. it was like that day or like the day like right before that or after that or whatever. And so yeah, I watched them then, and I have not rewatched them. And I'm not going to. So
yeah, it's fine. This is one of those shows, like, I enjoy talking about shows like this. It's like this and Silo. It's very straightforward, I think. And I don't mean that like in a negative way, but it's nice to not have to be like there's no competing timelines. Although I do seem to remember in season 1 that was like we had a suspicion. Do you guys remember? Yeah. We thought some stuff was going on at different times or whatever.
And it wasn't it? The girl in the zoo, like what they were showing us was just her and Wendy. But when we get to present time, she has all the animals. All the animal kids are living there with them. But I think what we were seeing with her and Wendy was...
No, I thought we saw them come to her. We saw her start taking them in, remember? Because we had Bobby. Are you sure? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. But I feel like they were there... Because even in like this episode, when they show us the chocolate, or one of these 2 episodes, they show us the growth charts of the... It felt like it took a couple of years for the other kids to start showing up.
Okay. Well, either way, I think it's pretty straightforward, and I think John will be fine discussing it without having refreshed his memory. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it.
John, do you remember what you thought of these 2 episodes?
Yeah, I mean, I liked them. I thought it was interesting because, like, I mean, obviously, regardless of jokes, I did take notes, and I do take notes.
Okay.
So I was reading my notes that I had taken a couple months ago. And yeah, I mean, I liked it. Like, I think, there are some things that were really nice. Like, I enjoy the camaraderie of the kids, right? Like that, it's really interesting to see the animal kids together. And like, there was one thing I'm just gonna say it now because like, who gives a shit? But like toward the end of the second episode, I was reminded of The Stand. It was in a weird way, and I remember this because it was a very strong like reminder. When what's her name, Becky, when it cuts back to her like walking down the road by herself. I was just like this that was like one of the only like, oh yeah, this is like a dystopian place. Mm-hmm. You know, like that kind of thing. Like it was like, it just felt that way, you know. And what came to my mind, I remember distinctly when I saw that scene, I was like, this is like The Stand.
Yeah, and okay, I'm sorry, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, that was it. That was, you know. Okay. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed both the episodes, and I was like, yeah, like, because when I first started watching these episodes, you know, I was like, I don't really remember much about the first season.
Mm-hmm,
like just the highlights.
Right.
And I was like, I mean, I guess I'll watch this season. And then I watched these episodes, and I was like, all right, I'm invested. And then, and then we didn't watch it for 2 months.
Yes. I want to say one of my, and it's not like a complaint in the sense that, like, I think like the show is bad, but, and it could be me, like it just could just be I'm not picking up what they're putting down, or maybe I'm not paying enough attention. But I feel like I had this, not complaint, but said this last season. I still kind of feel this way. When there are shows like this where it's dystopian and things, you know, it's like a post-apocalyptic world, something has happened. I like to have a good sense of like what the world is like. But then if part of the story or the mystery, or the tension of the show is that you don't know exactly what's out there, right? Like you look at a show like Silo, right? Which is about people who for generations now have just been living in this underground silo, told that the outside world is uninhabitable and dangerous, right? And you don't know what happened to humanity that forced them all to go live into this silo, but there you are. And that's part of the mystery. That's fine.
Or like Wayward Pines.
Right. But when you have a show like this, where people do go out into the world, or The Last of Us, where people do go out into the world, or there's one more and I'm drawing a blank because I feel like I had that issue with another show we watched recently. But it's like
Station 11?
Possibly. It's like I just want to know the status so I know like what the threats are, like what is. It helps me understand just how much authority, let's say people like, I think his name is Abbott, the villain in this.
The Thinker.
The Thinker, yes, right. What people he played, if you're wondering, he played the Thinker in one of the seasons of the CW's The Flash, the actor. But like, what people have to fear when they're out there, like, so that scene with her walking down the road, I know that like part of it is the disease, right? Like there is this. They're concerned about this new wave of this disease that came and did what it did and caused these hybrids to exist. But like, who's running things? Like, who is the authority? And I know like they've touched on it a little bit. Like last season, we know that the last men were out there being men. And there was I don't know if you guys remember last season with the train when they were running to catch the train. And then I think there was some of the military or something men on there, and it was like, okay, but like who, like how is this running? I like a bit of world building, so I just understand where I am, what the stakes are, who I should be afraid of, what my characters should be afraid of, what they should be looking out for. And I don't feel like I'm getting that. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not paying attention enough, or maybe they're purposely keeping it vague, because I know when you do that as a writer, you can kind of get away with stuff, you know, like if you don't have to explain everything. And maybe there isn't really a lot of order, but it certainly feels like it when you have someone like Abbott, or when you have cases like we'll talk about in that second episode, that house. The safe house or whatever. Like even the fact that they called it a safe house, it's like, why is it a safe house? Why is it?
Because this woman's been living there forever.
Right. Are people like not allowed to just like live out in the world? You know?
Right. Like because this is a comic book, right? Like
I'm sorry.
It seems like, you know, because it's a comic book, like oftentimes comics just don't have that level of world building. And so maybe the show doesn't, you know, and maybe the show should, but it just doesn't.
Right.
And that's one thing that I really love, like about Lazarus, for example, Greg Rucka and Michael Lark. Their comic book, like they did a shitload of world building in that, like it's basically writing a novel every issue, and that's great. Like when you have that kind of stuff, like you could see it being adapted into live action. I don't know why it hasn't.
But I feel like they especially the second episode, I feel like they're trying to world build when they bring in the other guy from the south, and he was supposed to bring in the east and the west, because I think from my understanding is Abbott is in control of the north, and then you got these other generals that are in charge of the other one's east, one's west, and one's the south. So those
are the ones that told them, we don't care what you're selling.
Right. And so that, like, just the thought of that, like, the U.S. is split up in these territories, and when he talks about, like, they drive through Utah, I think, or wherever he's at. But then he also talks about these Albuquerque at one point, like
Albuquerque is like a couple hundred people now.
Right, left and stuff like that. So he's just like, okay, that's stuff like that to me is interesting because it does put it in perspective.
And so was it just this disease just killed a bunch of people?
And it still is. Like that's the problem. Yeah. It's still killing people.
And they say 98% of the human race is gone, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that was like because I have it in my notes. Like I'm not remembering this but like in my notes I have the Albuquerque thing, and then right after it is 98% of the human race is gone. So
I'm guessing that's just me not paying enough attention. That answers some questions then.
Right.
So I'm guessing in it was one scene where they really threw that out there.
Yes.
Side note, I'm sorry. I should probably turn this off so I'm not distracted because I'm currently distracted. But I put Tubi on my computer. I mean, on my TV.
Why?
The app.
Why?
Because okay.
There's so much to watch.
Why? Listen. I have been recommended.
So.
I've been recommended a K-drama to watch. That is supposed to be really good, and it's only available streaming for free on Tubi. And over the past couple of weeks that I have been recommended Korean content to watch, either TV shows or movies, Tubi is the only place where I could go and find it for free. And I joke because our friend Jawan really likes Tubi. He watches, but he purposely watches a lot of what we would call like B movies. I guess we should.
Oh, those are Z movies.
They're like, well, B for Black. He watches a lot of Black movies. But no, he watches a lot of these like low budget films on Tubi, and I don't know how he does it. Like, I honestly don't. And I am not like, I have my guilty pleasure TV stuff. Like, I'm telling you, every now and again, if Judge Judy is on, I will let that shit play.
See, this is why sometimes you should watch trailers, Joanne, because then you could see that the thing you're about to watch is bad.
He does not care, and he actually, I think, likes some of this stuff. So again, I'm not shitting on, because I haven't seen him. I know I've seen, like, he'll post the movie posters, and I read the synopsis, and I'm like, ain't no way in hell, but that's his thing. So we tease him about it in the group, right? But again, it was brought to my attention that a couple of K-dramas that was recommended to me are on Tubi. So the other day, I went to the site itself just to see, just like put them like in a watch list. And then earlier today, I was thinking, you know what, let me go.
You got put on a watch list.
Probably. And so I put it on my TV. And it's funny because like Kaylee was standing here and they only would let me sign in either through Google, because I have a Google TV, or, something else. And I already had an account on the Tubi, on the desktop, like on my computer, from my
email. Sign in with MySpace.
Right, so they wanted me to sign in with my Gmail, even though I already had. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So I did that, and then they were like, they wanted to know my age, so I put 48, and then they wanted to know my gender, and then I was
right, that tracks.
Right, and I was like, when they asked for gender,
I'm just teasing. I want to be clear. I'm just teasing.
I know.
No, I mean not you. I'm just everybody listening.
So So I put, so they wanted to know the gender, and like Kaylee's standing here, and I'm like, as I'm putting female, I'm laughing because I'm like, what are you gonna do? Suggest some like old lady content for me, some womanly content? And then it like, so I put in my age, it loads, and like the first thing up there is this movie called Deadly Dilf. And me and Kaylee laughed so hard.
Listen, their algorithm's better than anybody else's.
They answered my question right away. They were like, yeah, bitch, we're going to suggest some old lady shit for you. Watch this movie about a deadly dilf. Anyway.
So how was it?
I do not know.
So
we were kind of scrolling through, and just listen, to complete, just to be fair, they have a lot of great titles on here. I mean, it's not all like low grade, low budget shit. It is TV shows that, we've seen and love, movies, there's real shit on here. So for all, but there's a lot of shit on there too. So, but I have on in the background, because like when you hover over something, it plays like a snippet and then it just starts playing it. The TV show Everybody Hates Chris. So I've had that on, and Kaylee watched basically almost the whole first episode with me. I don't think she'd seen it, and it reminds me so much of my life growing up in Brooklyn, because this is the time that I grew up in Brooklyn, the late 70s to 80s. I just relate to it. And my grandfather lived in a brownstone in Bed-Stuy, and I was telling Kaylee, like, I've been through halls of the houses like this, and this was my childhood. So the show has a special place in my heart. And so I just have it on as background noise. And my point is, I should probably turn it off because it's making me distracted, because there's the babysitter who came over with her baby. And I don't have the volume on, and I don't have closed captions on, but I'm pretty sure Chris said, "You can't bring that baby in here." My mom just said, "Don't bring no babies in here." Because that is a universal Black thing. I could just read his face. Like, my mom would say, "Can't bring no babies up in here." But anyway.
That's a good show.
Mm-hmm.
And now what I would expect, and this is not shade on Tubi. Like, I know I'm teasing Tubi, but like this, like genuinely, like I've watched a number of services like this, and what I would expect from my experience with other services is that they probably have like the first 2 episodes, and then like an episode from season 2, and then like 3 episodes from season 3 or something like that. Is that the way it is?
Let's see.
Like, I wouldn't expect them to have full seasons, just from my experience with other services similar.
Let's see. All episodes. What do they have? All seasons.
Wow, that's pretty good.
All 4 seasons. Yeah. And when you sign in, they tell you, like, this is free and it will always be free. Like, okay.
Well, there you go. I mean,
and so like just to give you guys an idea, under comedy, so I have Everybody Hates Chris on right now. Then the movie Click with Adam Sandler, the Bernie Mac show.
All right.
Coyote Ugly is that's a movie. Life with Martin Lawrence.
Yeah, you can't stop the moonlight. Don't act like you don't know Coyote fucking Ugly.
Yeah, me and Nita saw that in the theater.
You know what? Nobody asked all of that. The TV show Amen. Oh my Lord. Remember that? Sherman Hemsley. They got Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Ant Bully, Nutty Professor, Sister, Steve Harvey Show.
John's about to download too.
The Wild Wild. They got different strokes on.
I'm just saying.
Give me a break. They got the Jeffersons. Oh, listen.
I'm just saying, they got all that. Why are people watching all the bad things that they have?
I don't know, Ashton, because I'm not.
It's like, why? Like, they have this shit for free. Like, this is good shit.
And here's the stuff that's leaving soon. The movie Casino, Jurassic World expires in 10 days. Wanted, remember that? The Angelina Jolie movie.
Uh-huh.
Inglourious Bastards, Max Payne, 7.
Uh-huh.
Dirty Harry, Class Act. Remember that? That was the Kid and Play.
Yeah.
So there's some family movies on here. Horror. Let's see. Oh, I never heard of this. Insidious is big, but there's some stuff that looks like like low budget. But Train to Busan is on here. Okay. Amityville Horror, Hannibal. So there is, there's stuff. There is stuff. It's not all, it's easy to joke on it, to make jokes
because
it's deadly dilfs. Like, I can't take
that. Yeah, because like that's the shit that everybody always talks about them having. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't know they have the good shit unless you actually go on there.
Exactly. So anyway, that's what's on my TV. I need to go now look up all these Korean titles that I took screenshots in the chat. Because I was doing a Facebook Live while I was in Korea. And my Korean friend was suggesting some stuff. I was like, girl, I gotta take a screenshot because I'm never gonna remember this. And then she went and looked it up. She goes, I looked it up for you. They're all on Tubi. And I was like, oh God. It's like, I can't believe I got to go to Tubi. Anyway, to be or not to be is the question. Oh, but I did think it might be a little fun. We're actually going to do it in our group. We're going to do a Tubi movie night. And I think I'm going to let Joanne pick the movie.
Oh, why would you do that?
Because it's just going to be fun. Fuck it. I don't have a social life. I'm sitting here with this broken foot. So on one weeknight, we are going to have some edibles, at least I am, and some good food and snacks, and we're gonna watch a Tubi movie together as a family in our Facebook group and get these jokes in. We're definitely doing that. Speaking of movie night, we actually have one scheduled tomorrow. We're recording this Friday, July 21st, and the podcast is going to actually go up Saturday morning, July 22nd. That Saturday night, we are watching They Clone Tyrone. It's a Netflix original movie starring Jamie Foxx and John Boyega and Tiona. Is that his hair name?
Yeah.
Parrish. And yeah, we're watching that as a family. We have been waiting months for this. I think it was supposed to originally come out in December, and we were going to watch it together then, and they pushed it back. I still feel like they missed an opportunity to call that movie They Done Clone Tyrone, but whatever. So yeah, we're watching that tomorrow as a family, and that should be fun. Anyway, okay, so Donnie, your overall thoughts on Sweet Tooth, these 2 episodes?
It was good. Like, I don't remember a whole lot from the first season. Felt like it was forever ago when we watched it. But some stuff did come back when we were watching these episodes. But it's just one of those feel-good type of shows. Like, it is. It's adorable, and it's just a feel-good show.
But honestly, I'm going to say, every now and again, I look at that kid and I just see the cussing kid from Cocaine.
Oh, believe me, I can't. I was like, God damn, I need to watch that movie again because that shit.
Because he's so different. The kid who plays Gus in this has a role in that movie Cocaine Bear, which we watched as a family before I went to Korea, as a matter of fact. And that movie is wild and just as crazy as you would expect a movie called Cocaine Bear to be. However, it's really fucking funny, and part of it is that kid who plays Gus is in it, and in it he's he has a big deep Southern accent. He cusses a lot, and he's so good in it. Like, it's totally different character. But yeah. So like you guys, I enjoyed it. Was happy to be back. Also, like you, did not remember a whole lot, and I let that recap play when I started that first episode because I needed it. But it was really easy to kind of get back into it, like why I liked it, and to kind of follow along with what was going on, and it was really easy to get invested and to like these kids and to like certain characters and to dislike others. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be covering it 2 episodes at a time. I believe it's only 8 episodes in this season. So each week we'll come back to talk about the 2 episodes. Again, if you want to join the conversation and you have thoughts on episodes 3 and 4, you can send that in to feedback@projectfandom.com, and I will read them next week when we record. But for now, we're going to talk about these 2 episodes. Completely forgot Birdie, the quote-unquote mom. Totally forgot about her, that she existed. And the fact that we found her in, like, Antarctica at the end of season 1. Completely forgot that.
Even in my notes are like, I don't have any real clue as to what the fuck is going on with this lady on this boat in this cave.
This white.
That was the cliffhanger, wasn't it? Like they got a hold of her.
That Becky called her.
Mm-hmm. Like I remembered, like eventually, but like in that scene, I was like, "Who the fuck is this, and where are we?"
Yeah, who this white lady? Yeah, and she ends up. I said Antarctica, joking. I don't remember where she is. Did they tell us where she is? I forget.
Maybe it's Alaska.
Wherever she is, it's a lot of snow. Yeah. And she finds this ship, like a shipwreck, in the ice. Right? Mm-hmm. Yes. Sure. And she, hold on a second. No, I'm just going to go with my notes because I feel like if I skip ahead, then I'll forget something. I'll say it wrong. So she finds the ship. They got the kids. And one thing I'd forgotten was that they had the kids at the zoo. I forgot they took over her zoo and set up camp there. And they have the kids holding them hostage, obviously, to experiment on them. And they're feeding them babies dog food. And I love that she was like, Wendy was like, can y'all love yourselves just a little bit?
Like, she ate that dog food.
And then she ate that dog. She's like, stop, we don't eat kibble.
Yeah, but they gotta eat.
Yeah, like, we're hungry.
No, but it tastes good, though.
And I hate the fact that they had the elephant, like, already eating. Like, I don't know. That just felt like fat phobia to me. Yeah. Why they had the chunky little kid being the one stuffing his face with the dog food? Come on.
Yeah.
No?
Elephant fat now?
He is a chubby kid. They purposely cast a chubby kid to be the elephant. And then they have him be the one that was like, what? I was hungry. And he's like already like 2 fistfuls down or pawfuls or whatever, hooffuls. I don't know what elephants have. Of dog food down his throat.
I would have been that elephant boy, honestly. I was that elephant boy. Like in that moment, that was me.
It was like, but we're hungry. So we learned that the kids communicate with sign language because not all of them can speak. Either they don't have the vocal cords because of the type of animal hybrid they are, or they just never learned because they weren't raised by somebody like Wendy was, like Gus was. Yeah, but we meet all of the kids. And I swear to y'all, I feel like we are missing a little black kid. Because I thought the theory was when we first watched this, when we watched the finale and Gus is thrown in there and he looks and he sees all those little animal kids standing around looking at him with Wendy in the middle, there was this little black boy that looked like he could be Big Man's son. And I'm trying to remember what he looked like.
It's not the turtle?
I don't think it's the turtle because I feel like they showed him as a baby and we saw what kind of animal he was and I don't remember what it was. And then later, I know I'm jumping ahead, but later when I think it's the beginning of the second episode when Big Man goes to his house and he's looking for his family. Because remember in season 1, we learned that when his son was born a hybrid, he started to run.
Right.
And then he changed his mind. But by the time he came back, they'd already taken them. Right. So when he goes to his house, and he's upset because he doesn't know where they are, and he starts wrecking shit. There's a zebra skin rug on the floor, and I was like, you motherfuckers better not have some black hybrid child be half zebra. Because I will fucking riot. Y'all better not. But they did show what he was. Y'all don't remember?
I don't remember what he was, though. For some reason, he could have been the skunk.
The skunk is a little Asian boy.
Is he? Okay. I don't know.
What's wrong with you? Right?
I guess. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he was a little Asian kid.
I know y'all aren't asking me. So.
Oh, God. I just feel like it's going to be really sad. So,
you know what? These scenes... These scenes reminded me, and this is, nobody's going to either agree or remember what the fuck I'm talking about. But y'all remember the Garbage Pail Kids movie?
I really just thought you were going to feel like the Garbage Pail Kids, which, yes, I remember, but I do not remember a movie. Like, I did not watch that movie.
I mean, it was unfairly maligned, I think. But yeah, it felt very similar to this. Like the setup here.
Introduction and all that.
Yeah, just like the setup of these kids.
For some reason, I remember that scene.
Just like where they lived, the Garbage Pail Kids lived very similarly to this.
Okay, I had to look it up. It was a black sheep, which I'm still a little like. And there's a picture and everything. He has like his legs are like sheep legs, and he has like little sheep ears that are black.
That's like the baby picture.
Yeah, I'll put it.
But we didn't see that in the finale.
There's no, but like they showed. I feel like there's like a little boy that looked like he could be his son, and we were just like, oh, that's gonna be his son. And then like now there's not. Like I feel like the kids that are in there are pretty much all accounted for.
Right.
Except like they've talked to all of them. They all have a little personality and name. Yeah. Well, he's dead, Roy.
Right now, yes, that we know.
Right, because even when they were like they took Roy, and I'm like, was Roy his son? Because I was like, where's Big Man's son? Do y'all see that? I put it in the chat. Yeah. Okay.
When you said I had to look it up, I was like, "Are you looking at Garbage Pail Kids movie?" No, you weren't doing that. You were not.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
That might be on Tubi.
That's probably on Tubi.
Yeah, it might be, and he's along with all the other good things on there.
I was about to say, where are we classifying that?
Good.
Okay.
That was a good movie.
Because I've never seen it, so at least I don't think so.
I think it came out around the same time the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out.
It was like the late 80s, yeah.
And I really feel like I aged out of that stuff. Like, I just feel like there's like a time when like I was.
You were already clubbing.
I was already clubbing. I was already in the club with my titties out. I'm sorry, y'all.
I mean, you could do both. Watch Garbage Pail Kids.
I didn't know it. I didn't know that back then. I didn't know I could be a thought and a nerd. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where we've gotten to now.
I had to pick a struggle back then. I chose thought.
We've gotten there now. Now you can be like, ice cream's so good, and then you can go and watch the Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh god.
Balloon pop pop pop.
Oh my god, I can't believe she gets paid for that. It's lovely, good for her. Anyway, so the wife Dr. Singh's wife has this dream. And I didn't know it was a dream at first, and it was her basically moving into her house. So at first I thought, oh, this is where they're putting them up. Because I remembered that they, in the flashback, they showed that they were about to get killed. And it was her who spoke up and basically made a deal. It was like, you get nothing if you kill us. Because this guy Abbott wants not just, as he said, a cure. He wants the cure. He wants to be the only person with access to this cure. So I thought, and I knew that they had taken them. So I'm like, oh, is this they're giving them a nice house? But then when the woman was like, when your horse killed me and you left me, I was like, oh, that's right. Do you remember that horse kicked the shit out of that lady?
I don't remember that.
Because you remember that's how he got around. They lived in that subdivision, and they did a thing where they were basically like, because she was sick.
Yeah.
And they were trying to hide it from everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that woman was super fucking nosy. And one day,
that's
I think
yeah,
that's what you get, Karen. She was just not minding her business. And remember, I think the husband, that's how he got around. I think it's maybe how everybody got around. They have horses, but he definitely had a horse. It was tied up outside, and that horse kicked the shit out of her.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you
get, he would get on his horse and he would leave town, and they'd be like, hey, it's getting dark, and he's like, I know, but I gotta go. And he had to go and get kill a baby. That's what he did.
That's what he had to do. And then when she gave her like that gift basket, that was one sign where I was like, oh, that's right, because she liked Pop-Tarts. And remember we had that discussion as to how long Pop-Tarts would last. Like, would there still be good Pop-Tarts? Because they're not making Pop-Tarts. So like, how long would you eat a Pop-Tart?
Listen, I happen to know the answer to this question. I'm an expert.
How long? What's the shelf life of a Pop-Tart?
At the beginning of the pandemic, March 2020, I was like, listen, I gotta buy Pop-Tarts because I can't leave the house. I bought on Amazon a box of Pop-Tarts, like fucking 90 fucking Pop-Tarts or some shit. And that shit, like most of those boxes honestly stayed on my shelf for 2 years. And I finally had to throw them away because they weren't good anymore.
I was waiting. I'm like,
how do you know they weren't? Did you open them up and look, or is it?
What do you think? What do you think I did? You open them up and they are not good.
Really?
So 2 years is all. I mean, the date on them is like, I don't know, a year maybe.
Okay.
So like they were already like a year past the date when I was like, maybe I should check these and throw them away if they're not good.
Yeah. Okay, good to know. Good to know for all of you who are wondering about
so many
reliable post-apocalyptic food. Pop-Tart's not one of them. You're good for about a year or so.
So many wasted s'mores Pop-Tarts.
Well, that's what you get for getting the worst one
too.
No, I was gonna say that's what you get for getting the worst one. The best one's frosted cherries. Frosted cherry or frosted strawberry in a pinch.
You know, they have lemon meringue Pop-Tarts now, and those are very good. They are.
Donnie, give me some of those. Right now.
Right now.
Go on Instacart.
Bye.
So anyway, the wife is in need of a shot, which she gets, and it settles her down. She has that little pinky twitch thing going on. And when he says, like, he tells her in this scene when she wakes up that, I can't remember how he phrases it, but he basically is like they have an overabundance or something like that.
Yes,
basically telling
her
they
got a large supply
of kids.
Yes.
That he can work on to get her what she needs. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. And I'm like, I don't like her. And then I remember, I don't think we liked her last season.
He's not, from what and it came back, it's like, he's not for this. Like, he doesn't like doing this.
Although he was kind of getting a little too, I don't know, we'll talk about it. Go ahead.
But she's all like, fuck these kids.
Yeah.
My life is more important than these kids.
But Abbott tells him that he's not going to get another dose until he makes the cure.
And he can't sleep.
So, Bobby, remember Bobby? Was he a little gopher? A mole? I can't remember.
One of those. Little Caddyshack.
Little Caddyshack. So, that's his new name, Caddyshack. So, the kids and Bobby steal the keys to get to the radio so they can send a message to her mom. Wendy's like, if my mom knows where we are, they're going to come and save us. And he does it. Her and Gus sneak in there, and she does send the message saying exactly where they're being kept in the zoo. But they also get busted, and they put a fucking LoJack around Bobby's neck. It's like, you know what? This is some bullshit.
I can't dig.
Nope.
The thing, like, in that, at some point in this, we see that Gus, Gus thinks that Tommy's dead, right?
Right.
Yes.
At this point, he thinks he's dead. Yeah. He finds out.
Right. Until the end of the episode.
Yeah. Like, that was so sad.
Yeah, it
was. One thing.
Papa and Big Man.
Yeah, Papa. I wanted to ask y'all, this might be a question, it's like, I don't remember, because when I took these notes, listen, it was 2 months ago. I don't remember. But in my notes, I have this question, and I don't know if this is a question that we already had the answer to in season 1, or maybe we didn't.
Okay.
Is the narrator Gus?
Oh, no. Okay. I don't think it's supposed to be Gus. We've not discussed this before. I just know it's Josh Brolin. But I don't know if it's supposed to be
It's not Josh, it's his dad.
James Brolin.
Whatever. Same white man, basically.
I mean, very strong genes.
Very strong genes. They might as well be the same fucking white man. Fucking J starting names. But he is now that's a good question. Whether or not it's supposed to be Gus, I don't think we've ever discussed or even considered that. My no comes from the fact that in my gut, it feels like the way he talks about this all, it's like he's an outsider. Like he talks about Gus like it's Gus. Like, you know what I mean? If I'm not mistaken, I feel like he calls him Gus.
Well, see, maybe like this, the line that happened like toward the very beginning of this episode, the first episode of season 2, is the narrator says, the last men, the ones who tried to hurt us and the ones who tried to help.
Ah.
And that was when I was like, is that Gus?
That's Gus. then that's Gus.
Like, I don't know
It
if
has
it's
to be.
supposed to be. Like, it would make sense
Oh
to
my
me.
God, I
if it
don't want to
is.
see some old deer man. Oh my
We
God.
are. That's how this show's gonna end.
It's gonna be fucking Josh Brolin.
It's gonna end like
looking like a furry. I hate it.
But like, I do like the idea of that if it is supposed to be him, because like, he's like fucking 80 or whatever.
Yeah. Well, look at you, aging up that Brolin dude.
I mean, you telling me he's not 80? Fucking Josh Brolin's in his fucking 50s or some shit.
Hold on a second. What's his name? What's his dad's name?
James. But I like the idea that he's alive. You know what I mean? Like, if that is him, like, that's what made me see.
Okay. Well,
the series is going to end like Princess Bride. He's going to be reading the story to his grandkids.
His little deerlings. His great deerlings.
Oh wow.
They're going to be piglings.
Ew! Shut up. See, there can't be no cross species. Stop it.
Why couldn't there be cross species? You gotta survive somehow.
No.
Y'all remember that's how you remember when they taught us how genes work in school, and it was like the grid, right? And that's how you learned about recessive genes.
I do not remember. No.
Yeah, I
went to public high school in Brooklyn. Shut up.
I'm just saying, like, you say that, and I'm like, yeah, like maybe maybe the deer is recessive, and
Oh God, no. But wait, I have a question. How come there's not more than one? Have we seen
each animal?
Yeah, just the
how come
twins.
We haven't seen like another half deer.
I don't know, but we've seen the kids. There's twins, right? In here, there's two that are the same animal. The little squirrels or whatever the fuck they are.
Really?
The foxes or what? I don't know. They have the little pointy ears, but I thought they were twins or siblings or.
I thought that they just.
They look identical, like whatever animal
really
they are.
The ones that basically like finish each other's or say the same thing or something.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be twins, but they're the exact same animal.
Okay. I thought they were like. I honestly thought they were different races. I thought one was like a little black hybrid child and the other was an Asian hybrid child. But I don't know. I be high when I watch this stuff, so don't listen to me. Okay.
And the parrot kid just repeats him.
That was hilarious. The fact that kid can do that has to come back into play.
And it does it in the same exact voice.
Yeah. That's the best part.
I like that. I really liked when that kid mimics the mom, because it's like because the radio, the rule about the radio. But like I like that because like y'all said, like it introduces the fact that like, oh yeah, like this kid can do this, and they got like a repository of voices in there. But like I just liked it. I just liked that like it was an interesting thing on the show. that this kid can like mimic something that heard months ago or years ago.
While they were sneaking to send this message on the radio, Gus and Wendy see that Roy, the chameleon kid, is dead. And when they go back, Wendy starts to tell them Roy ain't coming back. Gus lies and says that it's because Roy escaped.
And Wendy's like, whoa.
And then they're like, oh, we're going to escape. And everybody's like, oh, we're going to go meet Roy.
Yeah. And then they just look at each other.
He's like, yeah.
I like this because it shows that Gus and Wendy, like their upbringing has been totally different. Like Gus has been raised like, don't trust people in this secluded manner, and then he meets Big Man and he's been out on the road and people have been trying to kill him, and he's come across, remember those weird fucking animal kids? Remember where we met Becky?
Gotta be more specific. No. Well, no, I remember
the regular kids pretending to be animals, not the hybrids.
Yeah, Becky's kids.
Yeah. So like for him, he just feels mature enough, if you will. Maybe that's not the right word, but he feels mature enough that he would make a decision like that on the fly to lie to these kids. It just feels like a very adult decision. Maybe because it's typically what adults do, like lie to like not hurt your feelings or lie. You know, they think that it's a good thing to do.
Because he's been lied to his entire life.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, it just shows like the difference of everything that he's been through and the type of encounters he's had with adults versus what she's been through and being raised by Aimee. You know what I mean? That he was the one to be like, and she just kind of went along with it because, you know, bad influences.
He comes from a religious household and she comes from a secular household.
Right. Oh, remember, that's the other thing we found out last season. That's Becky's sister, right?
You're not asking me to remember things. I know. Becky, so you're that's a rhetorical question.
But Becky, the white girl that was with Gus and Big Man,
right? Mm-hmm.
Found the cassette because she knew what a cassette was, but she found the cassette. Shady Grove. Her little sister is Wendy. I think we saw in the flashback when they came and took her sister.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
And when they pulled her out. When they finally showed us the baby, it was a little girl with a pig nose. Anyway, okay.
Which is
sure we found that out in season 1.
Which is like, I mean, it goes back to your question, like, are there not more than 2 pig girls? Like, why do we have to know that that's her?
But it was very clearly, and that's the thing. I want to say that we found out that Becky, because clearly Wendy is black, right? Like, she's not, but Becky might have been adopted by her parents. And so when they showed the full flashback, I want to say that they were either black people or an interracial couple with one being black. And so the baby, like, I don't think they're biological siblings, but she was calling her little sister. I'm almost positive. Y'all gonna make me put that finale.
No, I vaguely remember now.
Because, I mean, that feels pretty important. And it also, like, I knew then nothing would happen to Becky because I was like, okay, because we got to get that reunion. You know what I mean? So it's like Becky has a bit of plot armor, I think, if I'm right.
Yeah, like when she was like, that house was fucking like going up, I was like, she better get out of there.
So then Abbott goes to meet with 2 people who didn't show up. They sent like their representatives instead. And according to Donnie, these are people. The other 3 who, according to Donnie, it sounds like they have just the southeast, northwest territories. And he wanted some sort of meeting with the other 3 who runs the other territories. And they were like, yeah, they're not coming.
How do they?
But then they were like, we don't also, I'm sorry. They were like, we don't. Whatever, he's like, well, I wanted to explain, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, whatever it is you're selling.
Because he sounded like he wanted to say, hey, I got a cure coming or whatever.
Right,
that's how, and they're like, no, we're not interested.
Right, they didn't even let him, yeah.
I wonder how they split the territories up.
That's interesting. I would like to see a map.
North, south, east, west, like.
What, like how? Is it like just a straight grid, like right down the middle?
Right, but like, how do you say, oh, well, this is north and this is east?
Right. Like, then it has to, stop somehow.
It's like where's Ohio?
Yeah.
I wonder if they still do states.
I don't know if I've heard.
Well, they did. Other than the TV telling us when they were traveling through Utah, it said Utah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right. So I mean, like, I wonder, like, if borders really matter anymore, or what? With you only got 2% of the people in the world left.
Right.
It's like one guy can have his whole state.
I don't know.
Can I have Rhode Island?
I don't know if you guys remember, but I put on the finale from season 1 as background noise, and it opened with like these 2 hospital workers, and they're like in their basically like hazmat suits. They're outside having a cigarette break, and one guy takes off his mask and helmet and everything, and the other guy is like basically it's like COVID, where he's just like, I'm not taking any chances. And the one guy starts fucking with him, and he blows his breath up the guy's mask. And they start fighting on the floor. And the one who blew his breath in stands up and he's backing away and he just gets hit by Big Man's car. Big Man's coming with his wife in labor. He just hit this guy with this car. This show. Anyway. So yeah, basically they're like, get lost, nerd. We're not interested. Singh, Dr. Singh has Gus brought into him and he realizes that, you know, not just the being able to talk, but like Gus is super different. He doesn't have a belly button. Gus insists that he's 10 years old, but since this outbreak is only like 9 years old, he's like, how could that be? Wait, is it only 9 years? Yeah, I guess so. It feels like the world is so different that like a lot more time has passed in 9 years, but okay. Yeah, so he remembers that. Becky's on the phone with Birdie and tells her that she was with Gus, that he grew up to be a really great kid. Birdie learns that Pubba is dead or not with us anymore. And she asks if, I hate the fact that she's like, you should probably get out of there. How long have you had that phone on? Yeah. And she was like, I've had it on all day. I'm like, you're lucky that how convenient that they haven't tracked you by now. But after she tells her, you should probably get off this phone and run, she's like, tell me about Gus. And I'm like, which is it? Am I in danger?
She's like, did he listen to my tape? What tape?
Yeah. I'm like, am I in danger or do you want to like hear about your kid? Like, which is it? Yeah, and she tells her about this cassette in the attic. And she and the other woman are looking for it, and she finds it just as the men show up.
I like that they just didn't know what a cassette was.
Yeah.
I identify with, what's the lady's name who owned the house? Do y'all remember that?
I don't have it written down. I'm sorry.
Well, I identify with her for like having an attic full of shit that she somehow didn't go through in 9 years. It's like, you're in this house, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, and also there's like a lot of like stuff in there like she couldn't even use though, right? Like
did she know that?
I don't know.
I
don't know. There was records and sets. I don't know if she has electricity in there. I can't remember.
Did she go through there? Like I would have thought you would want to catalog everything you have. I mean, you have time, I would imagine.
I can't believe this is how you would be spending your.
No, I wouldn't. That's the thing. It's like I identify with the fact that she didn't do it.
She's like, just shut up there and knock yourself out.
But I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. It's not that I would do it.
Hold on. So I put up.
Oh, Judy.
Got the
Judy's her name. Yeah, because she got the flamethrower, right?
Yes. Now I remember when they were going to when they found her in season 1, when they found this house, I remember we were suspicious of this woman, Judy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't know if we could trust her. And so in this scene where she closes and locks the door, she goes, only one of us can get out of here.
I was like, oh, fuck, she's turning her in.
I was like, this bitch. But yeah, she tells her, she sacrifices herself basically with a flamethrower.
I hate that. Yeah. I tell you what I hated. I hated that attic got burned up because I was like, there's a lot of shit in there.
It's like a lot of cool shit in there. You know, there was like some Nintendo games in there and shit.
Oh, don't say it. Don't say
you know, there was. It had to be. Probably some amazing Nintendo photos and shit. Yeah. I bet they got a good shit in that attic.
I bet they had Battletoads.
Probably. I don't know what that is, but probably. So, okay, maybe I could. Oh, no. I was about to say, maybe I made that up, but I didn't. Because I was like, they just showed the baby being taken away, but they didn't show her face. But now I fast forward, and there's a scene again, I think, of her thinking of her little sister. And she pulls out a photo. Yes. And the parents are Black. Yeah, I think she was adopted. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Oh my god, this cute little pig baby. Oh my god. They cast the cutest little baby girl and stuck a little pig nose on her, and it's adorable. But anyway, yes, that's her sister. Okay, so an episode ends with when they're getting their kibble, and it is a stuffed animal, and it smells like,
it's
and it
dog.
was like, okay, what the fuck? What does it matter? It's a stuffed animal.
Oh, girl, it's very important that it's dog.
God, Jesus Christ. It's a stuffed animal, and it belonged to Wendy, I think, and it smells like Big Man. And he was clutching it when he wakes up at the end of season 1, by the way. When she's like,
no, dog back. Wasn't dog, didn't he belong to Gus?
Did he?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Gus's stuffed animal, but he left it behind when he got captured.
And he smells it. Or she smells it.
She smells it, so
they're creepy fucking kids. They smell it, they realize both of their parents
he knows it, he knows because dog is there, he goes, okay, I know he's alive.
Big Man,
but it smells like mom also, and they're like, oh, mom's with him.
Right. Creepy ass kids. All right, so the second episode, we see how Big Man became a last man, couldn't find his family. And was this his old coach?
Yes.
I remember he was like a professional.
Yeah.
He was football.
Yeah.
But he wanted to find his kid and wife.
Okay, so I vaguely remember a scene, and I don't remember what the fuck.
I'm sorry. There he is. He's literally right there, the little black sheep boy.
Uh-huh.
But he's not there in season 2. Also, where's the little lion kid? There's a whole shit ton of kids in this final scene that are not in season 2. And it's only been a day, though. Did you get that? Only a day has passed, because when she was like yesterday, they got caught yesterday.
Yeah, they introduced him in this.
Right. So where are these kids at, y'all?
They probably got let go. They couldn't afford to cast all of them.
Okay. Maybe Netflix, they didn't know there'd be a season 2. Which is true. They didn't. Because remember, we saw the videos of them getting the announcement and the phone calls, because this was during the pandemic. That was a lot of fun. I feel like several shows did that, where you saw the actors and stuff getting there's a lot. I think Netflix did that a lot. They sent them like gifts and stuff, and you see them opening it, and it's them telling that they got a second season or a third season or whatever.
Yeah, and after season 2, they send everybody a phone call and they film it canceling the show.
And then you get no residuals at all.
That's what Netflix does. But yeah, there was a scene like either in the very beginning of this episode 2 or near the beginning. It's the first thing in my notes. And it's about, there's a portrait on the wall of a pregnant woman. Is that right?
Yes. Oh, you mean in Big Man's house?
Sure. I didn't write down where it was.
Yeah, it was his house. That was his wife when she was pregnant.
So I was like, do people often get portraits of themselves while they're pregnant and then hang them up?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. People take pregnancy photos and
No, but that was a painting though, right? It wasn't a photo.
Oh, I don't remember if it was. I don't know.
That's what I meant. Like it was a painted portrait, I thought. And I was like, that's just an odd thing to be hanging up.
I would only imagine that's something is if you, I don't know. I have a portrait of me, but somebody did it. Like somebody does it. You can't. No, it's a photo.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that this was a blown up photo. Like,
yeah, it's a photo of him and her.
Yeah. So, yeah, them together, I guess. But
yeah, it's a photo.
All right.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay.
Engagement photos, pregnancy photos. There's a photo shoot for everything.
I mean, listen, I am the wrong person. I don't have any experience with life, so I don't know. But it just seemed odd. It seemed like a very TV thing, but I guess not.
Becky goes to the wreckage and sees that the bloody jacket. I guess she assumes that Big Man is dead. I'm just gonna say this all now because I think they may have cut to something else, but I'm just gonna say it now, so I'm gonna go back to it. And she eventually finds like this caravan, like this not caravan, it's like a van with this guy, and like his parents are inside.
Yeah, he's like a Thor himbo. That's what I called him.
Oh my god, he was like at one point he was.
It was like the what was that other show we watched that with the traveling playwright?
Station 11.
Yeah. That's what it was. That reminded me of.
He called them his Oma and Appa or Oppa. I don't know. Are they Korean? But we never got to see them. Not yet, anyway. Right?
Well, we saw the old lady.
We did.
Yeah, she peeked in and it was just a bunch of pictures in the back, and then she was just sitting there.
Okay.
I felt bad about the jacket.
Oh, his favorite jacket.
Yeah, why didn't Becky? Becky could have like worn the jacket, and then like next time she sees Big Man, give it to him.
But she thinks he's dead.
Yeah, and it's covered in blood.
She could have worn. She didn't have to know that he's alive for her to take the jacket.
It's covered in blood.
But it's a good jacket. This is a dystopian future. Like you take what you got.
There's 98% of the world is dead. I'm sure she can find a jacket.
Well, she ain't got a jacket.
I'm sure she can go and knock on any fucking abandoned house and find some jackets. I'm not wearing a dead bloody jacket. But yeah, he really did like that jacket. He actually gave Aimee a hard time for not bringing the jacket.
Exactly.
You know, because he's a man, overlooking the fact that she saved his fucking life. He complains about the jacket.
Yeah, but she didn't save his jacket.
She should have kept his ass right where he was. But so Gus is taken to, remember the purple flowers?
Yep.
Those ball tripping psychedelic flowers from season 1. Well, they have a purpose where Dr. Singh basically brings them to Gus, basically, so that he can talk to
balls.
Yeah, takes him on a drug trip.
Basically, poor child. And this is where I was just like, fuck Dr. Singh. And I get it. He's like, he hasn't slept at all. Okay, this is really interesting because the scene where Big Man first goes to that last man meeting and they're all chanting and stuff. Like, there's like a woman in there for no reason wearing a mask. like a COVID mask. She was an extra. She was like, fuck y'all.
They were filming this during.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's just so funny. I'm looking and everyone's barefaced except for her. She has on this mask. But anyway, but this is where I was like, fuck Dr. Singh, because he was so, like, he just kept pushing Gus, pushing him. And again, I get it. Like, his wife is dying. He has to come up with this cure.
But he also doesn't.
Like, I didn't like the way he was treating him and talking to him.
But the alternative is to kill these kids, and
I guess. Point taken. I just thought he could have been a little bit nicer. But in this, Gus does give up Fort Smith, and apparently they had suspected that this thing started at this base anyway. So he just confirmed it.
Yep.
Right. And so since this is, now they know where it originated, they're hoping, I guess he's hoping they can go there to find a cure without him having to continue to torture and kill children.
Right.
Meanwhile, now, Donnie, can you please tell everybody what your theory about the wife?
Oh, the one in the snow?
I'm sorry, what?
The one, the wife in the snow?
What snow?
Wait.
Whose wife?
Oh,
the doctor's wife.
Doctor's wife. That she's going to steal one of these kids as
She's literally the only wife on the show.
I was confused because you didn't go back to the woman in our code, Alaska, whatever she's at. No, the wife, because she's acting weird and stuff, that and then she starts, she sees a picture of Wendy as a child, and it makes her smile and stuff. I was like, she's going to steal this fucking kid and try to.
And then she makes eye contact with Wendy later, because that one guard who seems to be like in charge of like watching kids, he starts talking to her, and she convinces him she wants to see the kids. And I'm like, why? And now I know her husband told her that the dear child is special, and she like when he was telling her how he thinks Gus might be like the first one or whatever, she was like, when's the last time you slept? And I'm like, why are you dismissing him? Like,
because she think he crazy.
Why?
I don't know, because she's an idiot.
It just didn't make sense to me that she was being that way, and now it just feels like he's going to find an alternative to like do what it is they need to do without hurting these kids. And I don't, that's why I wanted you to say your theory, because I don't have a read on her whether she's gonna like harm these kids or what, but her fixation on seeing them and then
she still doesn't give a fuck about these kids.
But has she ever met a kid
before? One of these kids for her own.
Has she ever met any of these kids before?
No.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
She's never seen, according to what I was getting, she's never seen an animal kid.
Right, and so like that's what it seems like. Is she's like, oh, they're just, they're nothing. They don't have any humanity. And now she's gonna see them, and she's like, we can't do this anymore. That's the feeling I got.
I don't think so. I think
that they're gonna have her. I mean, I think she's. I mean, yeah, she does seem like she's very selfish, but I think it feels like there's it just feels like the show seems to be going toward is that she's gonna see, oh shit, like these kids are, they're human. They have, and she's gonna be like, well, we can't do this anymore, and then she's gonna die.
Well, that's how whatever. I felt the thing was gonna be.
Well, I mean, I can't see, like, he can't stay awake forever, right? Like, he can't be, like, something has to break soon.
Yeah.
And so, like, if he doesn't find the cure, like, in the next, however many hours, something has to happen to move the story forward, because otherwise he's just going to die, because Abbott's going to be like, well, you didn't find a cure. Or he's going to die because he's not sleeping, or, something's going to happen.
Meanwhile, no, I'm trying to blank on their names. Aimee, she goes to, at first we think without Big Man, every time, remember the first season, whenever fucking John would say this man's government name, I'd be like, who are you talking about? I still don't know it.
Yeah, I called him Big Man earlier, and I was like, that feels wrong. And I was like, yeah, because his name is Tommy.
No, I'm not calling him Tommy. We're not doing that. I mean, you can do it, but I'm not doing it. I'm not acknowledging that. That's Big Man. Maybe Jeppers or whatever the fuck that other name is. I'm not calling him Tommy.
Jeppers.
Jeppers, so she says she's going to sneak in. Yeah, I think it's his last name, to deliver hope to the kids, right? And you think she's like, and he's like, that's just crazy or whatever. So she goes in by herself, and she's almost caught when he uses. It turns out he's there.
Those guys are so stupid. Like, she should have been caught. Like, she was so clearly not supposed to be there.
Yes. For every moment of it. Everything she did was suspicious. So it looks like it worked, right? Like, they got out of there, but they didn't. And they end up being, well, like they got away with it, but they didn't. And later, they are getting in a car, and I think they're like in a parking garage. Like, they're like several stories up in this parking garage, and a drone appears, and she's like, you didn't tell me they had drones. And I'm like, why wouldn't they have drones? Like, why would drones be a conversation?
Right.
Like, right? Like, they have drones. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do.
At the same time, I was like, oh, they have drones.
I mean, it's not like I was shocked, but it's also like, why would he tell you that? Why would that be a point for him to bring up and be like, by the way, they have drones? You know what I mean?
It's a stupidly written line.
It really is.
And it was really funny because, like, this scene with the drones, it just reminded me so much of, like, Waterworld?
I have not seen that movie.
Well, you haven't seen Waterworld? Come on.
No.
But like, it's just like, not because like any real reason other than like it's a dystopian future, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you see like, oh, these bad guys, they have a helicopter or like like an airplane, whatever the fuck it is they're flying, and you're like, oh wow, and they have jet skis, and it's like, well, you wouldn't expect it. It just comes out of nowhere. It's like they just have things, and you're like, oh, I guess they have these things. It just reminded me of that scene. It was just very like, it was like the movie Waterworld wanted us to use an airplane, and that's what the TV show. It feels like the TV show just wanted to use drones. That was what it felt very forced in there. Like it was like, oh look, we've got drones. It's like, okay, I guess they're gonna have a drone scene now because drones are all the rage, I guess. Can't believe you haven't seen Waterworld.
Why? It's the movie about people out in the water, and it's
in the world. I guess you just don't care about climate change.
No, I absolutely don't. I am so. I don't care about a lot of things.
I'm not there with you. That's where Smeat comes from. Y'all, like a Waterworld.
What?
You know how Spam, right? Spam is canned meat, but they don't put Spam in a movie. They make a fake version of Spam, and it's Smeat.
Hell, nasty.
And Waterworld was the first movie where they made that. And apparently, I just saw a video on YouTube that was talking about this. Apparently, when they did that, they printed so many of those, they're still using them. Like, they printed like 8,000 labels or whatever for those cans. And now, because they use that kind of shit in all movies, right, because they don't use copyrighted and trademark stuff. Right. So, like, Smeat, after Waterworld, Smeat became one of those products that is just used across movies and TV shows.
Gotcha.
And now, like, they're still using the supply they got from that movie because they printed so many for that movie.
Wasteful, and they can't pay writers. Okay.
Exactly.
So yeah, they get chased. It's a car chase, and the kids can hear over the radios of the, people, the guards and stuff, what's going on. They can keep track. It's like, oh, they're headed for this, and they're getting ready because they're like, yeah, they're gonna come bust us out. And I'm like, y'all are such children, because they are in like a Jeep Cherokee. It's like 12 of y'all, and they're running, but like they're like, we gotta hurry up and get this thing off of Bobby. And this poor thing, this poor little hedgehog, wherever the hell he is, mole rat, I don't know. They're trying to get that thing off his neck, and they're just yanking and yanking. I'm like, they're gonna kill this thing. Oh, but Bobby's like, oh, I'll just stay behind. And that made me so sad, because he was dead ass serious. He's like, y'all could just leave without me. But as it turns out, nobody's going, because they just dipped. And then the kids gave up. I think especially Wendy fairly easily. She was like, we don't know where they went or if they're ever coming back. And I'm like, that's your mom. Why are you saying that about your mom? Of course she's coming back.
And it's so, like, because they were so impatient. I guess because Aimee was so impatient, I guess, is what they come to at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now, like, they've ruined the surprise attack. Mm-hmm. They've given away that tunnel was there.
Yeah.
Like, now they have nothing.
Yep. Oh, but the kids, though, at the end of this episode, Gus rallies the kids, and he tells them that they are going to go to his home. He's going to take them to
Yellowstone.
Yeah, where he lived with Pubba.
After he remembered it from his trip.
His tripping balls trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. His experimentation.
Yes. So, and then he draws it for them. This is cute. With like crayons and stuff. It's cute. Yeah, so I think that's the end of it, right? I think that was everything.
And there's something with the woman in Alaska.
I don't have that, so that's on you.
Remember that something yanked her up when she was going down.
Right.
And I said it's probably a kid.
I mentioned it earlier because it wasn't in my notes, and I was like, I don't think this happened here. I couldn't remember. Okay, I'm so glad you said.
I couldn't remember when it happened, but
she went down into that hole. That's right, and she was like hooked to something, this rope on a I don't know what that's called, pulley or something, yeah. And she's going down, but then suddenly she gets yanked back up really harshly. And I'm like, and it got to the point where I was like, what would happen if she comes up completely? Like at the speed that she was going. And then when they show that the rope is actually attached to like this, it's not a pulley. What's that called?
Winch.
Like, I was like, could that kill her? And I suppose if she like slammed into that with enough force, right? Because the rope is just trying to get back.
Mm-hmm.
And when they show it, it looks like it's something that's happening on its own, right? Like we just see her and we see the rope and then we see the winch. And so they don't show like hands or anything. So you're thinking this is like some crazy malfunction. And I'm like, could that kill her? Like it feels like I would much rather, if something like that was going to happen, I'd much rather the rope go up than plummet me down. But it stops and she ends up climbing up the rest of the way. And when she gets to the top, she sees footprints in the snow that aren't hers.
It's a kid penguin.
Donnie?
Okay, it's kid polar.
It was Jesus. That was when he carried.
It's a kid moose.
Will you both shut up? Yeah, so I don't know what that's about. Honestly, I don't know why we should care about what's
I don't. I mean, at this point, I don't know if she has any point in the story unless she has a cure.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is the scene with them trying to get that shit off Bobby's neck. It's so fucked up. Anyway,
what is this? Wild Wild West? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
No, I don't know what you're saying. That movie is also on Tubi, by the way.
Watch it and you know what I'm talking about.
Nah, that's okay. I'll pass. I gotta go watch some Deadly Dilfs. Okay. Yeah, so that's it, you guys. Those are the first 2 episodes of Sweet Tooth. We'll be back next week to discuss the next 2. Really looking forward to it. I feel like we've made a few predictions, right? Like we have different ideas about where the wife storyline is going. Donnie thinks it's a child penguin out there. I don't really care. So I haven't made a guess.
It's gotta be like some guy.
Yes, I think it's just gonna be a man. To be honest, just some man. He's probably gonna be annoying. Just a guess.
Yeah, I mean, just like that's the one thing about the show where you're like, oh yeah, what if it's like some kind of like polar bear guy? But it's like it can't be because they're all kids.
Right.
So and if it's an adult, it's a human.
It's
like, who gives a shit about this guy?
Yeah, I don't know, exactly. Unless he has a cure. Does he have the cure?
Yeah.
There's one thing I was gonna ask you guys. The kids now have this plan to go to Gus's childhood home, and they know about the tunnel. So I'm curious, like, what kind of plan could they come up with? They don't really have any allies in there, unless Singh helps them get out because he now has the lead of Fort Smith, right? So he's like, we can just go there and look for things, and I can stop killing kids, right? I don't know. I'm trying to think of like how they would get out without assistance, maybe with some assistance, like where that might come from. But then just even like the journey to Yellowstone, I was like, they wouldn't kill some of these kids, would they? And then I remembered Roy. And formaldehyde Roy. And I'm like, oh, they would definitely kill you.
What if it is like Dr. Singh and his wife, they do go, okay, we're going to take these kids and we're going to get out of here.
I could see that because he just wants a cure. He doesn't give a shit about this.
And then
Colonel.
Yeah, and then like she like she's like, no, we can't do this anymore. And then she's like, and then she dies on the way because I don't know, whatever happens.
Yeah, because like I don't know. I feel like he's not going to do anything that stops him from finding something to help her.
Unless she tells him to.
I don't know that she would though. I mean you have way more faith than I do in her seeing these kids and like tapping.
I don't know if I have the faith in just like I'm not smart enough to write a different idea. That's what it is. It's like I can't imagine what happens to get them out of here.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like, they could come up with something silly that they get out on their own, like kind of downplaying maybe the intelligence and stuff with the guards. But I feel like they've already shown that these are still just kids. Like, because they did a few stupid fucking things, like the girl with the keys on her tail. Like, the girl just
like that, that excursion they had, where they got the keys and they got out of the room, and like that was so like,
yes,
it was just like
they're children.
Yeah, it was like they're children, but it was like how it's a good way to explain. It was like Dora the Explorer. It was like it was like Blue's Clues. There was that kind of like a level of like, why are they not being seen? And it's because
right. Exactly. So they could do something like that where it's just like silly enough for them to get out, but it would make more sense to me that they would have help. And I just feel like Dr. Singh is the only reason I would see him letting them go is because he knows he has another option to find a cure. But then even that, I would feel like he would have to go to Fort Smith. And I don't even know like what type of condition that's in. Like, is there, first of all, is that has to be in their jurisdiction, right? Like in Abbott's jurisdiction, because I can't imagine he could go to one of the other, his purview. Yeah. I can't imagine that he would go to some, to the south or east or west and just be able to go into a military base and work in the labs or whatever. But I would feel like Singh would need to go there and like mess around and know that it's possible before he would let those kids go. Does that make sense? Because I feel like he's all about his wife. Now, to your point, the only way I would see him stopping is if she told him to stop. And like you said, the only thing that would make sense is if she sees these kids and she just like becomes a better person. But it just feels like the way they've written her thus far, I just don't see that happening. But we have more episodes. Like, there's not to say that this is, going to happen in the next 2 episodes. Like, there's time to work on her, make me feel differently. She spent some time with Wendy, I'll buy it, because Wendy's fucking adorable.
Mm-hmm. Her and Gus.
Yeah. And so, I've said it last time and you guys got on me, but whatever. Not
and
all
the turtle boy. The turtle
boy is cute.
And he sings.
But not all of the hybrid kids are created equally cute. Some are just weird looking. But you know what I love?
You're like we can kill some of them.
No.
Amelia Boy was. He was weird looking.
I mean, look, that notice they killed one that looked more animal than child. Like that was
Bobby.
That was a whole.
Bobby is nothing but an animal.
But he's cute, so that would be sad.
Nothing but an animal.
No, he has some human in him because he talks and stuff.
That's it.
He got our vocal cords, and that's it. And our brain function. Yeah, he got some human to him. But can you imagine giving birth to Bobby?
I can't imagine giving birth to anybody.
Yeah, well, let me tell you. Do you have some time? I can explain it to you.
No, that's the end of the episode.
So no, what I was thinking was one thing that's what I do love about this is 2 things. One that I really love about this, I was thinking it in the first episode when the kids were like, we were first like getting to know the kids and they're talking about the sign language and they're all moving around and we're seeing like the one that just screeches and there's where she does that. She's cursing. It's just like she curses a lot. I love it. Mm-hmm. Like that whole thing. I did like that I think this is a reminder, not to get too deep, but I do think that this is a reminder for us, like for humans, to realize that our bodies are our bodies and the way we look is the way we look, right? And like, you really have nothing to do with that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we have nothing to do with that. Like, how we look was just given to us. Like, we are a mixture of the people who came before us and how we look, and everybody's different, and it's okay. And I like that in these kids, they don't know any differently, right? Like, they don't get, and they only know what people are telling them, which is this is bad, this is wrong. Like, we used to, like, deer, we used to just hunt deer. Like, now you're a dear child and you want us to respect you and have conversations with you and all of that. Like, they don't know that. They don't get that. They just know that they are the way they are. Like, their skin looks the way it looks. They have tails, they have antlers, whatever. And they're like, okay with that. And I did like the scenes where the kids were talking and playing and just being their natural selves and just accept it. Like, nobody was like, that's weird, you have fins or you have this. Like, it was just like a nice reminder, I thought, of how humans should be.
Yeah, how kids are before they encounter the world that tells
and spend
them.
More time with adults. Exactly. The other thing I wanted to say, this has nothing to do with that. The guard who catches Aimee and Big Man, why does he look like the mummy? Not the mummy. Yeah, the mummy. He looks like you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the guy in The Mummy.
Yes. He was not Brendan Fraser, but the actual, like, the bad guy, the mummy.
Yeah, the mummy. Yeah, the mummy in The Mummy. I know you're talking about.
He looks like him. Why does he look like him? It's not him, right?
It did. That wasn't him.
Imhotep?
Yeah, that wasn't him.
That's not his name, John.
Was that not him?
Wait, what's his name?
Imhotep? Imhotep. Is that not him?
Oh, that's the mummy. I mean, the actor.
Yeah.
I was like, his name is not Imhotep, racist. Arnold Vosloo.
There you go.
Is the actor. No, it's not him. But yes, the
I
mummy
assumed it wasn't him.
Well, I mean, everybody got bills. Shut up. It could have been. It was a possibility. Seen worse. I've seen people in these Tubi movies.
No, I shouldn't.
Surprised. Anyway, all right. So we'll be back next week. Thank you guys for listening. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. Again, this is going up Saturday, July 22nd. In the next couple of days, we have Black Mirror episodes 3 and 4. I kind of wish John would watch them and talk about them with us.
What?
Because
what was it?
Black Mirror episodes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think they're an hour, the episodes. But like these episodes.
That
episode 3, like,
it was pretty long.
Oh, was it? Oh, I was just like in terms of like, it's just interesting, and I mean we'll talk about it on the podcast. But like, episode 3 to me is such an interesting story, I think, to discuss. Just like the events of it and like what it means and like how, like, I don't know. There's just like layers to it. This one, it stars, by the way, John, Aaron Paul and
Josh
Hartnett as, well, I guess I can tell you the premise. It's the 60s and they're
spoiler alert.
Well, this is in the synopsis. Like, if you go look at the synopsis for the episode, it says like in an alternate 1960, whatever the year was. And they're both astronauts, and we have this technology, or at the very least NASA does, to come up with what they call replicas of the astronauts that stay behind. And when the astronauts are up in space, they kind of hook themselves up to this machine or whatever that sends their consciousness down to their replica. And so the replica can, like, spend time with their kids and go to the movies with their family and have dinner and all that stuff. And because this particular mission that the main characters are on, Josh Hartnett and Aaron Paul, takes like 6 years. This is a 6-year space mission. And so they have these replicas. And so the premise is that, and then things happen. And then the next one is not at all what I thought it was going to be. It's Zazie Beetz is the lead. There may be some other notable names in it, but they're not. I didn't recognize anybody.
Danny Ramirez.
What's it called? Maisie Day, I think. Anyway, it takes place. I don't remember the exact year, but they make it a point. Like one of the first things you hear.
It was It was like the early 2000s.
One of the first things you hear is that Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise just named their baby Siri. So around that time, and she's a paparazzi. And it's what happens when she is desperate for money, and there is a famous actress who's like known for getting into trouble and stuff. It's kind of gone missing, and it's like, well, if you can get a photo of her, like basically doing anything, it would make you so much money. And like what she does to get this photo and what's going on with this actress. And I think they'll make for like interesting conversation. But the first one, I think it's called Beyond the Sea with Aaron Paul. Really kind of messed me up. It's just so fucked up on so many levels. But anyway, Donnie, go ahead.
It seemed like because I watched maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes of the first season.
I thought you watched more than that. I really did. I thought
I may have
a lot together. But go ahead.
I may have, but like I haven't seen anything past season 1, at the very least, or at the very most. But but I did see like when this season came out, like some people were complaining that it was very like horror, and it wasn't so much the same kind of show that it had been. Like not like technological, like right. Like the problem with letting technology get out of hand, like it was more just like straight scary shit.
That's not true. I would say we've only seen 5 of the 6 episodes this season. 4 of the 5. I would say 4 had, and it's interesting because 4, the one about the paparazzi, we actually had a discussion about this in the group, and my friend April was saying how people complained about this one because they didn't think the paparazzi angle was technology, like it didn't, right? And I will say, without spoiling it, for anybody who still wants to go watch it, that one did have a horror angle that I did not see coming. Like, and I said that I had a thread going as I was watching, and I was like, well, I didn't see that coming at all, because for the most part, Black Mirror hasn't been that type of show. Although I would argue there was one from, I forget the season, but it had the actress who was in the British version of God, I was just talking about this show the other day, Being Human, about the ghost of vampire and a werewolf that lived together. There was a U.S. version, and then the original British version. But anyway, she was the lead in that, and it was very much like you're watching the whole thing, and it's very horror, right? People are being hunted down and shot and all this stuff. And I think it turns out later she was convicted of something, and this is what our judicial system has become. Like, I think that was the plot of it, right? Where we have criminals who are put through almost like this reality TV type, where they're hunted type thing, and people are watching it for entertainment. And like she was I forget what she was convicted of. But you don't know that watching the episode, right? So the episode is just like they wake up in this house, and it feels very post-apocalyptic, and she doesn't really remember her name, and there are people wearing weird masks, and they're being chased and shot and killed and brutally murdered. It had a very horror thing to it, I thought. So it's not like, to me, Black Mirror hasn't done that before. But of the 4 of the 5 episodes that I watched, I would say the only one that has a horror element to it at all would be number 4. And I would even disagree a little bit, push back with the folks who says like it doesn't really fit the theme, because I do think that time of the mid-aughts, that was ushering in a lot of what we have now. those paparazzis, and like they were showing like their process and stuff, and how
there was no social media,
how they would say things on purpose. So like, there's a celebrity, she's getting out the car, they're putting the camera trying to get shots up her skirt, but she can't say anything. All she can do is keep her head down and try to just get into the establishment that she's headed to. And the whole time they're in her face trying to get photos. And some of them are yelling. And, we see it now at TMZ. And that's what I mean, where I do think this is relevant, because this was the start of all that, right? Where they're like, not saying like, tell us about your new movie, or what dress are you wearing, or why are you in LA today, whatever. They're like, you slut, like they're saying things to get a reaction out of her so that they can get better pictures, right, to make more money. And I do think that ushered in the, like, Paris, I almost said Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, that's his name, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And of course TMZ and all of that. So anyways, we're going to talk about both of those episodes in depth. I just brought that up to say that I'm thinking about what we're recording this weekend. We're doing that. Sarah is joining us on the podcast this weekend to talk about the first episode of season 2 of Foundation, which was really, really good. But Sarah actually had the time. She made the time, and she rewatched season 1. She binged it this week.
Good, she could give us
right. She was like,
the notes.
Was like, girl, you smart. Because that is a complex, deep show. And Donnie and I watched the second episode, and it was like, I think we did pretty good. I mean, the first episode of the second season, I think we did pretty good. Like, things were coming back to us and everything. But it'll be nice to have somebody on the podcast who, like I said, she just rewatched the first season before she watched the second season episode last night, I believe. So she's gonna come on this weekend to talk about that with us, and that'll be up this weekend. And Kaylee and I are starting this. We already started, but we're going to record for the second season of Bungo Stray Dogs. That's coming up. Yeah, and so like I said earlier, a lot of great stuff on the calendar. Thank you for your patience. Again, it could not be avoided. Did not plan on being in Korea as long as I was. Still loved every scary, terrifying, alone second of it. It was, it was definitely an experience. But yeah, did not plan to be there as long as I was. So thank you for waiting and listening. And like I said, there are several podcasts coming up that are going to be free, that are sneak peeks, first episode listens to some of our premium stuff. If you're so inclined to head over to patreon.com/podcastfandom and sign up for one of the 2 tiers that we offer. That's it. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll talk to you next week.